Good morning, everyone. Happy race day. We're in Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400. We're going to be talking that. I'm just getting things set up here, opening some tabs. I see we got some people in the comments already. Yes, Steve, let's definitely win some money today. Happy race day to you as well, Mondo. Thanks for joining me. I've included a link. I had some people asking for an updated DFS NASCAR tutorial as I've added a bunch of stuff to the sheets for 2022 season. Most of it has come through here at the Las Vegas race. So definitely go check that out for sure. The link to that tutorial video is up here above. I've also got I do an article every week over at dfsr.com. Check it out as well. It's a preview article, so the picks in there are before practice and qualifying. Only I think two of them are relevant. Two or three of them are relevant going into the race, but I do have my top picks up on the sheet. We're going to be going over that sheet here shortly. But before we do that, I want to let anyone that is new to Jagerbomb's Fantasy Sports or maybe even DFSR.com let you know where you can find my content. So patreon.com/Jagerbombs for $10 a month, $13.50 Canadian. You can get access to one sport. So specifically for NASCAR, we cover all three series. Xfinity, trucks, as well as Cup. We've got sheets for all of them. We got all these new tools that I discussed in the tutorial video, as well as our Discord chat. We do often share core plays, not just core plays, but like core builds for DraftKings and FanDuel as well. So you want to check that out. And if you play all sports, $20 a month American or $27.50 Canadian will get you access to all of our sheets. And as you can tell, all of our sports, we cover just over 10 plus right now. And we've got 4 coaches in total in our Discord chat. You can also get access to my sheets over at dfsr.com. This is where I write my weekly article. You can find it here under NASCAR. We don't have projections and a lineup optimizer for that, but you can find that. And if you are into NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, and PGA, we do have projections and an optimizer for those. $29.95 a month gets you access to projections for all of those sports with the optimizer, along with all of my sheets as well. All right, let's dig into the race here. We got the Pennzoil 400. Third race of the NASCAR season. Is actually the 4th different track that these new cars will be on here early in the season. So again, it's a whole new challenge for these drivers. We've seen it. Kyle spun out. So that's the first piece of news here. Kyle Busch in the 18 spun out in practice, hit the wall. He's going to be going to a backup car. He is the only car going to a backup car here. This week, I'm going to label that on the sheet for anyone wondering. I just labeled his car number in red over on the member sheet where all my picks are. But he is starting 37th, so he does give us that elite place differential. So I guess one of the biggest decisions here, looking at the top tier specifically, we've got, 6 drivers over 10K on DraftKings, and those same are 11.5 or more on FanDuel as well. So that's kind of our decision this week. Well, first of all, for me, my top pick, we've kind of got elite plays in 2 different areas, the place differential side of things, as well as the laps leader. Morning, Casey. How's it going? Great to see you. I'm going to try and keep the chat open as much as possible. Doing the shows solo, I tend to get away from the chat, and then I have to catch up. So I'm going to try and keep that tab open, answering everyone's questions, saying hi, whatever it may be, to keep up in chat here as well. So welcome, Casey. Eric, thanks for tuning in here. Sprint cars are awesome. If you haven't been, their speed will blow you away. Yeah, I haven't been yet. That is definitely on my bucket list for sure to go see that. All right. So jumping back, looking at the top tier specifically at the start, I want to talk some build strategy stuff first. So first of all, we've got Kyle Larson. He has won, like I talked about in my preview article, he's won 5 of the last 7 Cup races in total. It's just an absolutely historic run. Coming off the win last week, he won this race at Las Vegas in the spring last year, top 10 in the fall race. Now, in that top 10 in the fall race, so I'm going to go through some of these different tools. I'm not going to go over them specifically. Kenny, hey-oh, how's it going, buddy? I'm not going to specifically go over all the new tools. You can go to the tutorial video to check that out, specifically if you want to know more about all these tools that I'm going to go through here today. But one thing I noticed with that 10th place finish at Las Vegas in the playoffs last year with Kyle Larson specifically, tough word to say, is that, where are we here? He started on the pole. He led a bunch of laps early, 95 laps. He still got there as the 3rd highest second highest scorer on DraftKings with those 95 laps led dominator points. So keep that in mind when you're just looking at the finishes, maybe on the cheat sheet. That's why I do add all these other tabs so we can just go do a little bit deeper research as to why. So average finish or average ran, he ran top 10 all day, ended up finishing 10th at the end. But again, had 95 laps led and was the second highest DraftKings score behind Denny Hamlin, who started 6th. Led 137 laps. So those were your two dominators almost always. And I added these tabs down here at the very end. Previous perfect lineups. These are from LineStar, last 2 years, 2021 and 2020 races. The dominator is in the winning lineup every single time, the 100 plus. I talked about it a little bit earlier in my preview as well. If we go back here, what we normally see at a Las Vegas race is very high correlation in terms of start position and finish position. That shows over here on our, nope, I don't have it loaded up on here yet. Oh yeah, right there, track position tool. So looking at all the tracks in NASCAR, looking at the correlation from start to finish over the last 10 races, looking at the averages over the last 2, the last 5, the last 10. Vegas over the last 2 races here is number 2 in terms of correlation of start to finish overall, and number 1 in terms of the 1.5 mile track. So definitely check that tool out as well. I use this more early in the week, trying to decide how many dominators I want. Long story short, after going through all of that data, Kyle Larson is number 1. If we go look at the practice time here, he was second in overall ranking in that 35-minute practice session. Now that's looking at all of his laps on average, not just his fastest laps. So keep that in mind this year on the practice model, is that the practice 1 ranking, that is the ranking of the speed here, or sorry, the lap time. And that isn't the fastest lap. That is the average lap time overall. And then we got 5, 10, 15 lap averages. I don't think we're going to see too many practices where we're going to see enough sample size of drivers where we're going to get into the 20, 25, 30 lap averages. But for the most part, every single week, I'm going to have 5, 10, and 15 lap averages on here. And Larson was first, and fourth in those categories. He qualified second with Christopher Bell on the pole. I honestly think Kyle Larson gets out front early, dominates this race. Over on the DK Fantasy Matrix, I've got him projected for 100 laps. It could definitely be more, but he is definitely my top dominator. And we generally see 20 to 25% of laps led in what a driver gets in terms of fast laps. So that's why I've got him projected for 20 fast laps here, and 10 for Byron. Those would be my 2 favorite. Byron's car, he's cheaper. He's under 10K. He gives you place differential value starting 14th. And then you go start looking at his practices. He looks like he's got the identical car to Kyle Larson. So they're the 2 fastest Hendrick Motorsports cars by far. So those are probably my 2 favorite picks overall. Kyle Busch has to be up there just because of that. He's going to be chalk just because of that place differential upside. He's in a backup car. They've been working on it. It's going to be going through tech here shortly, I believe. So he's going to have no practice time with this car. But just that, I mean, if we go look at the matrix here and just kind of see like, before we look at the matrix and see what exactly we're looking at, let's go look at the where are we? Previous DK perfect lineup. So the perfect lineup, 6.5x last fall, 7.3x, 7.4, and 7.5. Now these are perfect lineups. These aren't your optimal lineups or GPP winning lineups. And what we found out analyzing this, over the into the late stages of last year and even Fontana, is that you generally see about 0.5 less in terms of this DK value. If you're looking at it that way, points per dollar value for a GPP win. So that 6.5 would be like 6x you're looking for a GPP win. Here would be about 6.5 at this race. Same here. So keep that in mind. 5x is generally going to get you cash in comfortably. Definitely in cash games for sure, but in a GPP, you're likely going to at least get a min cash with a 5x return. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm analyzing the DK fantasy matrix here. So let's look at Kyle Busch leading no laps. He needs 51 points to hit that 5x threshold, which is what we need, or he's not going to be likely in not just a winning lineup, but probably not even in any minimum cash optimal lineups or anything as well. So no laps led. Kyle Busch only needs about a 15th place finish. I think that's totally doable. I'm not going to predict mechanical issues. I know him and Hamlin had overheating issues. There's tires going down issues. There's a lot of issues, and it's not just going to be one team. While it almost looks that way early on, in terms of how much problems they had, especially last week. Kyle came from 4 laps down last week at Fontana and ended up with a 14th place finish. If you just looked at the 14th place finish, you'd think that's probably terrible. It was one of the best 14th place finishes I've seen, and it's just like a classic Kyle performance after either starting from way at the rear or having those troubles like he did, spinning, blow tire. He ended up 4 laps down, came to 14th. So just starting 37th with a floor only needing 5x and a 15th place finish. I think that's totally doable. You're even going to get away with it like a 16th or 17th place finish, cashing. And then for upside, in terms of his upside, I mean, a top 5 alone, and not even a top 10. Once he hits that 10th place and gets inside the top 10 with 0 laps led, 0 dominator points, he can get you 6x return. He can get you, up to towards 8. So that's where that ownership's going to come in with Kyle. I think, out of the top tier, it's definitely Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson for me. 1 top dominator, 1 top place differential value. It's going to be tough. You can play them together, but for the most part, I'm probably not exactly split them. It's going to be more of like a 60-40 ratio. If I was building 20 lineups, it would probably be like not counting the ones where they overlap. Let's just say I didn't overlap them at all or put them together in any lineup. It would be like 12 Larson and 8 Kyle Busch, depending. And then, I might sort it out and put a couple of them together, which we can do. We do have some lower place guys, but like I said, my value place from the article changed a little bit just because of place differential value this week. And that's where I'm going to go next, because obviously with Kyle Larson as the top driver, number 1 in my rankings, and you can go check out those rankings down here, members only. I think I've got 16 drivers in my player pool this week, ranked in terms of points per dollar along with notes. So go check that out. But I'm going to be starting a lot of my lineups kind of like a stars and scrubs here this week. So it's going to be Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, like I just talked about. So I'm going to head down to the bottom tier here, first of all, and just go over a few of the value plays that I liked before. So first of all, Hamrick. Eric Jones asked about Hamrick on my mind. Yeah, Hamrick is also on my mind down here as well. This is kind of an area that I'm looking at. 4 drivers, really, when we're looking at sub 7K, I've got 4 drivers that are going to be probably around 40% and 20%. And the ones that are going to be around 40% are going to be Custer and Buescher. I liked Briscoe before. I liked Ricky Stenhouse before. I liked Austin Cindric before. They're all starting too high up for me. Even Christopher Bell, it's 8,200. We're kind of getting out of value range. But down here, Custer and Buescher starting 24th and 27th are going to be top values for me. They both got, they're coming off out 25th and 29th last year. Custer was 25th, 29th in both those races last year. Buescher before that was 14th, 9th, 14th, consistently top 20, around that 15th, 16th range for him. I definitely like that, him starting 27th, so he would be my favorite. He's going to see some chalk for sure. And then Custer starting 24th. He did good in 2020. He was 19th and 16th. Looking at practice times for both of those guys, I believe Custer had the edge. Where are we here? 19th and 23rd in overall averages, which I like. That's better than their starting positions. They both progressively got better in terms of their lap averages as well. That stands out for me. So those top two for me, looking at the matrix on those two, we're looking for about 33 points from them to get that 5X, and that is a 17th and a 19th place finish. Absolutely love that floor. Seems like the 2 safest value plays to me. Going a little bit lower, I like, this is going to be more GPP. I don't think I'm going to be going here in cash, but it's Hamrick and Ty Dillon for me. I don't, now it's a little bit different here. I like Dillon because of the place differential value he provides. He showed crap speed in practice in the 42 car, which is Eddie GMS. So him and Eric Jones teammates, which it's kind of weird because Eric Jones had practice here. So I kind of see, where was Eric Jones finishing up? Yeah, top 15 again in practice after a very impressive last week. What was the most impressive? I think he started, was he the pole last week? Either way, I believe he was on the pole, started ran top 3 all day, or ran, I think, second, third in terms of average run position, and then finished up there. So it was very impressive for him. I think maybe that, I don't think that's going to translate over to Ty Dillon whatsoever, but starting 32nd, I think we can kind of put him in the range of like 25th. So we need about that 28 points from him for that 5x return. That's a 23rd. I don't think 23 points or like a 25th, 26th is going to destroy us. So there is definitely some risk here with Ty Dillon. So that's why I have him a little bit lower in terms of exposure, about half as much as I have Custer and Busch. And then Daniel Hamrick, Eric, you asked about him. Daniel Hamrick starting 16th. I don't like it. I was hoping he'd start more with seeing his practice speeds there going into that qualifying session. I was hoping more like 20th. But I don't think we can ignore it either. Let's go look at, he hasn't raced here in a cup car since 2019, but he was 17th and 23rd. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And then scrolling over and looking at his practice times are what's really impressive. He's 12th in average speed, and then he progressively got better in the lap times too, 8th, and 6th on those. So I just really like that speed. Eric Jones and Daniel Hamrick they're both on my radar this week. I like Jones more, even though we are paying more for Jones. He's starting 23rd. Like I said, he was super impressive last week. So definitely like that. Yeah, right. Cindric was on the pole. Thanks. Jones, Cindric front row. And I didn't expect them to really keep in there last week. So I was very impressed. And Jones gives us that place differential value, even if he's at 7,300 this week. So 36 points, that puts us at a 15th place finish. So those are the practice speeds he showed. He showed even better speed last week at Fontana. I know it's different track types. Fontana's a lot flatter. This is a steep track. I know all that, but just him in a lesser quality car than a lot of these top teams, did not see that coming. And I think he can carry it over, because I mean, we've seen that speed in practice. So if I had to rank all these guys, and I do have them ranked over here, I'm not going to rank them one by one, but my groups of rankings would be Custer and Buescher. I love those two. Probably then up to Eric Jones here, and then down to Hamrick and Ty Dillon. If you're building like superstars and scrubs, those would be the guys I'm trying to mix in my lineups, where I'm either going like Larson and Kyle Busch, or Larson and another top tier driver here that you're mixing in with Larson because of the cost. That's where I'm going to dive down into this Hamrick Dillon range. All right, I'm going to answer Liz's question. I'm going to jump back up to the top. I've actually been seeing a lot of people talking about Brad this morning. For me, he's not in my player pool. Obviously, we're going to have to make sacrifices. I'm not building enough lineups where I can just go ahead and include every driver from, say, 8K and up. I feel like I've almost got too many in that range as of now. I've got, let me see here, 5 core drivers in the 8K and up range. So starting down here at Dillon. So of these 15 drivers, I've got 5 that are core drivers for me, which means they're going to be about 40 to 60% ownership. Like I said, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch are probably my favorites of all those. And then I've got like 3 or 4 more that are like secondary plays for me that I'll kind of use as my pivots off of the chalk plays. And a few of them that I like. And going back to my theory of, if we think Kyle Larson is the dominator today, and I think Byron is the second dominator, possibly. I think he has, the speed that he showed in his car. Looks like he's got a very, very similar car to Larson. I think he can get up there, maybe lead some laps as a dominator. If that's the theory, if that's how we're building our lines, in a game theory sense, we really have to look at what we're going to do after Larson, and why I don't have, say, Elliott and Logano. I like them. They both had success here. Elliott finished second here last year. Logano's won here twice. He had a lot of success. Going back further, he's tailed off a bit. They've both been inconsistent, so that's one reason. But the other reason is they're starting 5th and 6th. They're second and third most expensive. And if we feel Kyle Larson is going to dominate 100-plus laps in a race with 267 laps, that doesn't leave a lot of dominator points. And if we go look at the fantasy matrix here, we need 55, 54 points out of these guys to hit that 5X threshold. Or, we're not winning the GPP getting 4X out of guys that are second and third in salary. And if they don't get any laps led, they don't have access to 5X upside. We need, out of Chase Elliott, we kind of need him to lead 25 laps. Out of those 25 laps, you're probably going to see like 10 fast laps, something like that. He's getting just over 5X, so that's fine. If you think he's going to lead, but again, if you think Kyle Larson's going to lead 100+, fit in Elliott in there with just, getting 5X, You're going to need probably 3 or 4 guys in that 7,500 or under range to make it work, and you're going to need more than like a 4-5x return from those guys because these other top guys are going to be limited. So just think about that when you're building game theories. So if you're looking at my picks and wondering, well, why don't you like Elliott Logano this week? It's because I think Kyle Larson dominates this race, not leaving a lot of dominator points, in which, especially this week, with Kyle Busch starting 37th. Like I said, Kyle Busch hits 5x with 0 dominator points, finishing 15th, while Elliott and Logano need those dominator points just to have access to that floor of 5x. So that's where my game theory comes in. Going to other drivers that I like in the top here. Why I don't like Brad Keselowski. I love the price, first of all. I love the track history. Absolutely amazing. Almost top in the field here. Actually, it is top in the field when you're looking at the last 10 races. 7th and 2nd last year in last 2 races in the number 2 car. I just haven't seen the consistency yet out of Brad in the number 6 car. I do like, if you are on him, one thing I do like is that he appears to be a driver early with this new car who's pushing things to the limit. Now, that adds risk, but it also gets him that information a lot earlier than other drivers' teams are going to get it because he's just pushing so hard. We've seen it at Vegas before the race even started, pushing guys. So that's one thing I do like about him, is that aggression. I like the price. It's just I have just more exposure of, say, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick a little bit, but probably double of Kurt Busch than what I do of Kevin Harvick. This place differential value with not as good track history. It's similar and like way better place differential upside. And I think they're kind of about the same cars when in terms of Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick. I have them kind of in the same projected finishing range of upside somewhere like 5th to 8th. And I would say like a nice floor of, say, 10th to 12th, 10th to 13th, 14th top, somewhere in there. Top 15s for all 3, but I don't see top 5 upside for any of them. So I'll take the place differential value at just a little bit more price, is why I have Brad Keselowski factored out of my player pool, which is about 10 to 20 lineups today, depending on how I get through the show and all the stuff I have to do right after this in terms of like basketball, NHL, and PGA updates. So that's where I'm at. That's where my thinking's at here. I did get away from the chat again, so sorry about that. I'm going to get back here. Went over my Brad thoughts. Tyler Reddick. It's the same thing with Tyler Reddick. He is probably the lowest, one of the lowest of, say, the guys 8K and up. Let's just say even 9K and up. He won't be in my player pool at all. You need a perfect race out of him. I think like 46.5 points. So, okay, so he can finish second and give you that 5x return. I don't think he's going to dominate any laps, but if he does, that's a bonus. So I wouldn't rule him out. I'm actually not going to rule him out at all. I'm not going to get to him in my 10 to 20 lineups. If I was doing, say, like the 50 that I'd like to get into, or 150, if I can have time to fit that main in, he would most definitely be, because I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned with Harvick, Kurt Busch, like we just talked about, Keselowski. Bowman's going to see some ownership a little bit as well. He's definitely not as consistent as Larson, Elliott, and Byron, but he's got some place differential upside. He's on that Hendrick team, so there is some upside there. So I think Tyler Reddick's ownership is going to get pushed way down. Like I said, a second place finish gets him to 5x, and if he leads any laps at all, he can get you up into that 6-7x range and be in the winning lineup should that happen. If he finishes with the top 5 with a few, let's just give him 15 and 5, he can now hit you with that 5x value with a 5th, 6th place finish. So yes, I definitely like Tyler Reddick there with you, Scott. I'm just not going to have him in my small player pool. You never know. We got lots of time until the race here. I think it's 2:30 my time. So we got little over 3.5 hours till the race. Talking about it this long is almost changing my mind on the go here. So we'll see when we're done. I haven't built any lineups yet. I always like to go through the show, get ideas from all you guys. I have my core built. Like the 4 or 5 drivers that are going to be in my core, the highest percent drivers owned. But then when it comes to those guys that are going to be, 10 to 30% exposure in my player pool, I kind of leave that up until after the show, because I love hearing all your guys and gals' ideas on what you guys are doing and why. So definitely keep firing away in the chat here. Let me know your ideas, and going to move on here. How about Suarez? He surprised last week. Yeah, he surprised me last week as well. So let's just go have a look at Suarez. Let's break him down here a little bit. He's down in that value range. I don't have any exposure to him at the moment, but starting 21st, he was 26th in the spring last year, 15th in the fall. 7K is nice and cheap, a little more expensive on FanDuel, so I'm probably not considering him there whatsoever. So seeing that top 15 last year was nice. He had 8 top 20s in 11 races. So out of the value guys, as you can see, that is very impressive, consistent for him. 8 out of 11. He had an average finish of 17.8, which was second to Chris Buescher down here in this value range. Also nice to see. In terms of fantasy scoring, 54.6. So that was nice to see in terms of FanDuel. 28.9 in terms of DK. Buescher got a lot of place differential points last year, is why he's up there in that 40 range. Suarez actually was pretty darn good in terms of where he was starting and finishing. So there's a little bit more of a gap there, is why the difference in points. But so all good for Suarez so far. And then in terms of practice, he didn't show much speed there in practice. Starting 21st just adds a little bit of risk. So what we need out of Suarez, if you are rostering him, we're looking for about that 5x return. 6x would be amazing, but like I said, at this race, only 267 laps. I think 5x is going to get him, even like 4.8 to 5x is going to get him into a, close to a winning line, depending on what the other drivers do. So we're going to need a 14th, 15th place finish out of him. That is like his ultimate upside for me. A little bit out of reach. I've got him more in that range of, say, 18th to 20th. Which is not going to get him there. That's only a 4x return. So that's kind of why I have him factored out and a lot more on the Custer and Buescher. So yeah, none for me in terms of Suarez. Chase that Elliott. There it is. That's going to be our well, not going to be. It has been our weekly mantra every week. Chase that Elliott. I don't think we're going to be chasing that Elliott this week. I think we're going to be chasing Elliott's teammate, Kyle Larson. Oh, you're in Vegas. Are you going to the race? Because I am super jealous. Also, I want to send out a happy early anniversary to my wife. Tomorrow is our anniversary, and we actually got married in Las Vegas the day after the Vegas race. So we're gonna, it's kind of that same trend, and it was Sunday, Monday. So this is actually the first anniversary that will fall on the Monday, the same order the day after the race. So happy anniversary to her. But moving on, I'm also, honey, I'm not cheering for your driver too much. I did mention Hamrick, but he is not very high in my player pool here. I do like Kurt Busch more. But moving on, thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Kenny asks about Haley in a deep GPP. Yes, I did not mention him, but if we go look at Haley, he is in this range. Falls between that Custer and Buescher, and then down in that Hamrick and Ty Dillon range that I talked about. Starting 28th. I definitely like that. Not very much success here last year, 29th, 32nd. But he was 17th in practice, 22nd in 5-lap average. He didn't run any 10 laps or 15-lap consecutive. Now, I had some people also ask about that in chat. I don't know if you guys are still are in this chat or not, but I just wanted to go over what those differences are. So when you start seeing practice average rank here on the sheet, like I said, that is the average time of all the laps put together and the average lap time. Then we have 5, 10, 15. Sometimes we see 20, 25, and 30 lap averages. Those are the drivers that run and consecutive 5 laps in a row. That is their average of those, their best 5-lap average, their best 10-lap average, and 15. So some drivers don't run 15 laps in a row. Some drivers don't run 10 in a row, and so on. So that's why you don't see some rankings of some of these guys here. And if you want to see what their times were for those, there's the rankings. If you want to see what their actual times were and kind of compare there, go over to the new practice tab here, and you can see the times. So I post the time and the rank for the overall, and then I only post the rank 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 on the sheet over here. But if you want to look at those speeds a little bit closer, because one thing I do look at, and I am using this practice averages for, and I really hope these 35-minute practices go on, because 15 minutes doesn't quite give us enough to get up into those 15-lap averages. 35 is just getting us there. But what I like to see, and obviously same with any sport, same with anything, I'm a spreadsheet junkie. The more data is better. The more data I can get is better. I love analyzing data. So this new practice tab here, what I'd really like to look at, especially from the top guys when we're trying to nail down dominators, is looking at the speeds from overall, but especially looking at 5-lap average, 10 lap average, 15, and just watching the gap, seeing how much time they lose from the 5, the 10, the 15, and the 20. And this is something I'm going to be adding to the sheet, how much time they lose from 5, 10, and 15 specifically. And then I'm going to compare that between all the drivers just to kind of see the fall off of cars on longer runs. That's going to help us out a lot, I believe, as well. It's only going to help. Like I said, more data is better in my opinion. So that is something else I will be adding onto the sheet, probably going into next week's race. So keep an eye out for that. Eric, Kenny, James, thank you very much. Appreciate that, guys. I don't even know if she's watching. Probably not. She's probably on Facebook looking at stuff. So we threw a big birthday party yesterday. So, okay, we're going to wrap this up. Here, we're at the 30-minute mark. I'm not seeing any more questions. I've gone over my core. I haven't gone over any bets here. I'm actually going to bring that up as I am wrapping things up. Again, if you are new here tuning into the show, rewind to the start because I do go over my core plays, my strategies for the top tier, and then I go over my top values, playing mostly stars and scrubs. Well, I don't know why I couldn't think of that there for a second. Stars and scrubs today. And I added a bunch of tools. If you scroll up to the very top of the chat at the start of the show, I included the tutorial video for the NASCAR sheet. So definitely go check that out. I go over all the different tools that I have added. I will update that again as I add more stuff like I just mentioned here. And if you are new and you're looking to get a copy of the cheat sheet, my full rankings, into the Discord chat, head over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. And for $10 a month, you get access to NASCAR content. And for $20 a month American, you get access to all of our sports. That's 10 plus, 4 coaches, access to Discord, top plays, core lineups, that sort of stuff. So here's some picks for the race. Larson's down to 325, so that's tough. I think he could dominate and win. So if you're betting Larson, that's going to be my only bet. If you're looking for an upset, which is tough because, like I said, he's won 5 of the last 7 races. Tough to go against Larson here. But if you are going against Larson, plus 900 on his teammate Byron, I think he could pull it off, or Blaney. Those would be my top 2 picks if you don't think Larson's going to win. And if you don't think Larson's going to win, I don't mind pairing them together because, you're walking away with $80 profit here, $90 profit there, off $20 in betting if you're betting $20. So you're at least 4 times in your profit, 4 times profit there. If you bet 2 drivers, if you add in a third one, you're just really lowering what your overall potential outcome is going to be should you pick the winner. So I always like to either bet the favorite if I think it's going to go that way. And plus 325 is better than what we've seen last season in these situations where Larson was like the heavy favorite. We were seeing sometimes plus 200, plus 250. So plus 325 isn't too bad at all. Anytime I see plus 300 or more when Larson has been super fast at practice, a track he's been good at, and he's just still in great form, that anything over plus 300 I like. So that's probably the direction I'm going to go. But yeah, that takes care of that. And I also have free trial if you want to come in and check out our Discord. Definitely check out the free trial link I have in the description below. I'm actually going to also pin that to the comments once the show is over for anyone that's watching the replay. That's going to be there. And that free, I'm actually going to get you that link and post it in chat here before we wrap things up. If anyone's got any final questions, fire those off now and or forever hold your peace, or don't hold your peace and bring it over to the chat, and we'll talk some NASCAR leading up to lock here. Okay, so here's the free trial link, dropping it in the chat now. Yeah, Jeremy, if you can get plus 350, I think I even seen a plus 400 on Bet 365, but definitely shop around if you are in the sports betting. That link I just shared, that is the free trial Discord link. Discord link for trial. Once you get in, I send out a message in chat as well, but definitely hit me up in DM. Chris, and then in brackets it says JB team leader, I think, in Discord there. So check that out, or reach out to Kenny or Dane or Ryan. We will definitely help you out there. For my one and done this week, anyone that's in a one and done league, we have one with Jaeger Bombs Fantasy Sports. I suck this year, by the way, so I've been really good at picking a guy that gets in a wreck. So we're going to see if I can go 3 for 3 this week. I really hope not, because he's high in my DFS rankings as well. Ryan Blaney is who I have. I think he's, I'm not even going to say it. Ryan Blaney is my pick this week. I'm going to stop it there. We're going to shut down today's show, and I will be back next week again. We're going to see what time the race is. I don't have the exact time of the race for next week. See if we can get Dane in here next week. We might even do a preview show so we can talk, both of us. Also, we've got coming up on our YouTube channel, Dane and I are going to be talking some Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass next week, the strongest field in golf. We're going to be doing a preview show for that, talking about some strategies that we like, some pricing, and just some overall builds that we like and players that we like early in the week. I'm not sure if we're going to record that Sunday night or Monday, but sometime in there and get that out for you guys to check out. And again, patreon.com/JagerBombs and sign up today and join our winning team. Thank you for joining the show. It was another great show. We had 30, 40 live viewers the whole time. Truly appreciate you guys. And let's go get some green screens, and I will see you in the winning picks tonight.